Hey, this is Evan Anderson with Oseberg. Thank you for joining me for Oseberg Hacks. I'm often asked just about every day, where would you buy minerals? Where's the up and coming places to look? And I thought I might show you kind of what a rocket taking off looks like and what I look for when I'm kind of monitoring activity. So. Let's look at Staghorn today. We can see that they've been fairly active since 18 in Blaine, Caddo, Custer, Dewey, Grady, Kingfisher, Major, and Woodward. Everything's been pretty flat, though. Not a lot of change. But what I've noticed here is that all of a sudden we went here roughly, 3-4 months ago in Caddo County, we went from 12 regulatory filings to 38 to 96 to 113. Let's look and see which townships they're in and focused on. So again, everything's looking pretty flat with some modest inclines at 11 north of, or I guess it's 20 north of 13 west. But here it looks like 12 north of 13 west is really what's jumping, and 11 of 13. So I'm going to write this down: 12 north, 13 west, and 11 north, 13 west. And let's take a look and see what formations they're looking at. Looks like largely it's Mississippian, Woodford, Hunting, with a little bit of Red Fork. And what can I learn? What's interesting is right now we're kind of predicting that they're drilling wells about a year out from their spacings, but 81 days from their poolings. And I wonder if they're getting any interim spacings, because that might change things. Okay, no interim filings. So it looks like it's either going to be final or continued. Okay, good to know. So let's go look at the map and see what we can learn beyond the fact that the 12 north and 13 west, 11 north, 13 west are of interest to them. So I actually think I know where 12 north is. I think that is in Caddo County, but if I didn't know, I can go to my map functionality and enter in that section, township, and range. Here by changing the state to Oklahoma and going to 12 north, 13 west. Okay, so I don't like to look at areas that small. So I'm just going to kind of expand my AOI, and I'm going to keep the query at 2 years, and we're going to just look at spacings, poolings, increased densities, and permit activity. All right. Now, I don't know where Staghorn is in all that mess, so I'm going to filter them out. So I'm writing a contained query for Staghorn, and then if I wanted to now, I can group this by township. So you can see we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 17, and 18. Remember, 12 was one of the townships with a ton of activity. They got 73 spacings, with 11 kind of being the next one that was up and coming. They got 71 here. We can ungroup that by townships. If we wanted to, we can come in here and see what we can learn about the formations. And so we can throw formations up here. You know, we do see some Martian in 10-11 and 9-11. But for the most part, it's Mississippi Woodford hunting. You see some Kinderhook, Chester Red Fork there in 17-7, Dewey. So you can kind of learn, get a sense for what is it they're looking at. I like to be able to filter out on interim because I want to look at the follow through rates on those interim orders. Before we do that, and we got the same thing with our pooling data, we can come in here and we can write a condition for contains Staghorn and apply. These are our poolings. Looks like mostly in Blaine though. There's that Red Fork that they drilled or spaced. And we can see here is their density applications and orders. And we can see the permits. Let's see. There we go. We got mostly new drills and amended and recompletion in Dewey. Is that the Red Fork? That is Cottage Grove. When was that? That is last year. Interesting. So one thing I might do is I might go back to the map and put on this AOI because I'm anticipating that I'm going to want to look at completions. And I might, we got 2 years drilling completions. Contains, oh, what am I doing? Sorry guys, I'm a little asleep at the wheel. Contains Staghorn, not completions. There you go. Okay, so, and that they did not just follow the permit, but they recompleted in that Cottage Grove. That's interesting. Most of those completions were in Dewey, so they're really gearing up here for cat accounting. Let's look at it. So this is all the activity going back 2 years, and that will be useful here in a second. But you might recall we filtered all of the Staghorn spacings, and we noticed that we really saw some activity jumping up here recently in 12-13. And as you can see, it really comes on strong. That's all in about a month period in an April time frame. And then we get into May. And there you go. You got 12-13, 11-12. Really kind of getting developed from a spacing standpoint. Let's look at the pooling activity. As far as poolings, we see, You see poolings in 1112. And then up here in 1713, it's the Blaine. What are they looking at up there? That's Mississippi. Okay. And here, it looks like this pooling acreage costs, wow, $650 an acre. Interesting. And if you wanted your respondents, they're all, looks like mostly, that's all curative for the most part. Although I can't believe Remington royalty is curative. Did I read that correctly? Did I see Remington in that list? Tapstone. Yeah, I don't know why that would be status deceased. Oh, status is known address. Sorry. Okay, I thought I was reading it as unknown address. Okay, so let's look at this in the context of what's going on in the area. If we look at surrounding spacings, we've got continental, we got unit, Staghorn, unit is dismissed, and that one's continued. Okay, now let's look at our permit activity. So we actually have some permits in here by Lynx and Blake. Are those also, where is Blake drilling? Martian. Okay, and then we got Continental and Paloma up here. Let's take off those poolings. So what we're looking at is permit activity on top of spacing activities. So very interesting to see this data come about here in 1213 and 1112. One question I have as I'm doing this is this. Let's turn off all the layers. Let's go to our spacing data set and let's clear our filters. So this is everything. And I want, just for fun, to map all the interim orders in this area. Okay, these are interim orders. And now, what I want to look at is permits on top of these interim orders. And I'm working on the math on this, but there seems to be very tight correlation between an interim spacing order and a permit being filed. The timing delay is going to be largely dependent on the operator and the formation and the geography, but I seem to really like this combination of interim order. And if you're familiar with interim spacing orders, you probably can anticipate why that is. So that is looking at development. If I'm looking at new areas, 1213 and 1112 are areas, particularly the ones underneath these interim spacing orders that I would be looking at. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being with us for Oseberg Hacks.